Good Monday evening, everyone. It's Weather for Weather Geeks time here on September the 28th. We're almost into October, and the weather pattern finally is undergoing some changes. We've had some really nice weather lately, but of course it's been dry and frankly a little bit boring in the weather department. But of course, this morning and into at least part of this afternoon, we had some light rain, some drizzle. Here's some local rainfall totals since midnight. We picked up a couple of tenths to a quarter of an inch. Parts of our Ohio counties, Lisbon up to Beloit and Berlin, about 0.18 in Boardman. Amounts were definitely a little bit higher over towards the Ohio-Pennsylvania border and into Mercer and Lawrence counties, where some places got about a third of an inch or so earlier on today. Well, here's a look at the situation this evening. It is dry, but it is still fairly cloudy out there, as you can see on the satellite picture. I'll take that off so you can see the radar. We're going to be dry, it looks like, for several hours before our cold front starts to approach and moisture starts to increase from the south. We'll give this a second to load up. Here's our cold front up here with this thin line of showers. Doesn't look like much, does it? But this band of rain is going to expand as we go into late tonight and especially into tomorrow as the moisture feed comes in from the Gulf of Mexico. So even though the radar doesn't look all that ominous right now, I do think tomorrow is going to turn out to be a pretty wet day. As far as the temperatures, it was a mild day today. We got into the lower 70s. It's also muggy. Here's a look at current temperatures, and by the way, look how warm it is out across the middle of the country. Current temperatures as of 7 p.m. still pretty warm in our part of the country, considering it is late September. Take a look at the dew points. Hey, dew points are well up into the 60s. It feels humid outside, and moisture is going to continue to increase over the next 24 hours. Some of this real soupy air down to the south is going to funnel in, so we're going to see dew points well up into the 60s. Through the day tomorrow, which is a little anomalous for this time of the year. Easy to see where our cold front though is though I should say. When you look at the dew points up across the upper Midwest into the plain states, look at the drop. It goes from the 60s to the 20s in the dew point category here over a relatively short distance. So that drier air is going to come south and east, and I think we'll really notice the change by Wednesday. Wednesday, not only a cooler day, but a less humid day as well. All right, let's plan out your Tuesday. We'll take a look at the NAM model, and I'll skip ahead to the wee hours of the night tonight. About 4 a.m. here, showing a few showers around. Not everyone's getting wet at that point. At the bus stop tomorrow morning, and as you head off to work, I think there can be some showers, as you can see. We're not looking at a big blob of rain, though, so these will be kind of hit or miss or scattered first thing in the morning. Overall, the best coverage for rain tomorrow is going to be from midday on. Here's a look at noon. Notice the simulated radar here filling in as we go towards midday. So plan on a wet lunch hour tomorrow. And by about 2 or 3 in the afternoon, yeah, it looks pretty rainy across the eastern, maybe half of Ohio or the southeastern half of Ohio. This is kind of bisecting Ohio like this. So south and east of I-71, say, yeah, it looks pretty wet. And into western Pennsylvania as well. And then by dinner time tomorrow, here's 5 p.m. What you see is what you get. Rain, yeah. There could be a rumble of thunder trying to be mixed in as well. I don't think severe weather is likely at all, but I wouldn't be shocked if there was a rumble of thunder in spots. And as we go into tomorrow evening, still raining. So this is going to add up. You take a look at the SREF plume here, and we're showing, I know this is a little hard to read, but the lines are pretty tightly clustered together here, right around an inch to maybe an inch and a quarter. The legend's over here on the left. And if you're new to this SREF thing, this is a short-range ensemble model. Each line on the chart here represented by a different member of the model. There's 21 or 22 members that go into this model. And so you look at each individual line, but you also pay attention to the average of all those lines, and the average is, yeah, an inch or so. So I think, we're in for a pretty good soaker over the next 24 to 36 hours. Well, when does the rain leave? This is tomorrow evening. Let me then skip ahead to Wednesday morning, and this is where the forecast starts to get a little bit tough. The front's going to hit the brakes as an area of low pressure forms along it and heads north and east. Now, the question is, does the front hit the brakes after it's passed through our area or as it's passing through our area? And I've kind of trended our forecast a little more pessimistically for Wednesday, especially in the morning. I think it could be raining Wednesday morning for a few hours anyway. Here's midday, NAM trying to push the rain away. Early afternoon, we should be trying to, get into the all clear at that point. Here's the NAM, here's the GFS. The GFS is a little faster moving the rain away, but no matter which way you slice it, I think in most spots it's going to be raining at least lightly first thing Wednesday morning with decreasing chances for rain as we go through the daylight hours on Wednesday. And that'll set the stage for the best day of the week, and that is Thursday, first day of October. Here's the surface map on Thursday showing our moisture off to the east and a little area of dry air pushing in. So I think we'll see some sunshine Thursday, although it is going to be cool, no better than the upper 50s to around 60 on Thursday. All right, if you watched my forecast tonight on 21 News at 6 or followed a few of my social media posts, I've been talking about how the forecast gets pretty complicated at the end of this week and into the upcoming weekend, and a little bit as to why that is. This front is going to be interacting with a low, which is going to try to form off the coast of the eastern seaboard. And then there's going to be a tropical low down here, which might get a name. It might be Joaquin. And as this comes north and east, it might also interact with this front. And what in the world happens at that point? It seems pretty likely that the east coast is going to get a pretty good soaking rain at the end of this week and into parts of this weekend. But what about this far to the west? Well, let me show you the GFS here for here's a Thursday evening, and then here's Friday afternoon. If the GFS were to be right, we're in good shape for high school football. It'll be dry, partly cloudy, rain on the East Coast. That's the GFS, though. Let me show you the Canadian model. And I can't show you the European because I'm not allowed. It's a copyright thing. To see European data, you have to pay for it. And of course, I pay for it, but you don't, so I can't show it to you. That's against the rules. But anyway, I just showed you the GFS, which is dry Friday. Here's the Canadian, which is sort of similar to the European. If this model were to be right, it's a soaking rain for high school football Friday evening. And the rain may continue into parts of the weekend as well as a low really cranks. This is going to start involving some tropical moisture, and this could be a big headache for much of the mid-Atlantic states and even parts of the Ohio Valley by Friday and the weekend. Now, the GFS has no such thing for us on Friday. And then into Saturday, it's also dry here with rain up and down the East Coast, but dry back here, whereas the Canadian model here on Saturday still has a chilly rain, at least for the morning hours. The European model has just a wind-driven, ugly rain for a couple of days here. So we've got our forecast challenges ahead of us. I think the European is definitely an outlier at this point. It's one of the more extreme solutions, so I'm not putting a lot of stock in it at this point. You've got to pay attention to it because it's the European model. But anyway, at this point, our official forecast, does have a chance of rain for Friday and the weekend. It could be totally dry, or it could be just a washout for a few days. Right now, we've got low-end chances in our forecast. So check the forecast often over the next few days. We're going to have to keep updating it. That is for certain. Now, whether it rains or not, it's going to be much cooler at the end of this week and heading into the weekend. We're talking probably the 50s for a couple of days at least as we open October. And we stay at or below average, it looks like, for perhaps the first chunk of next week at least. I was advertising earlier on, over the last few weeks, that October might end up being kind of similar to September, and that it'll be quite a bit warmer than average. Climate models are starting to back off from that idea. Now, here's the last 7 days of the climate forecast system averaged together. Still looks warm in October. Here's the more recent runs showing a bubble of cool air for October as a whole in much of the eastern two-thirds of the country. So October's forecast kind of low confidence at this point. Compared to the averages, don't think it's as warm as September, but it may still end up being a fairly typical month. This cooler idea is a relatively new idea, so we'll keep an eye on that trend. All right, coming up in 9 minutes. Thanks for hanging with me. Weather for Weather Geeks has been pretty brief lately because the weather's been kind of boring, but tonight we went a little long, so thanks as always for watching. And we'll have more geeky stuff in about 24 hours on my weather blog, ericwfmj.com, and on wfmj.com/weather. We'll see you then.